Hello and welcome to my meditation. My name is Debra Baker and I'm so grateful that you've joined us for this little while. We are going to talk today about the power of neutral and get into some nice peaceful meditation. So let's begin. And let's begin with our 3 nice, really deep breaths. And take the second one a little bit deeper. Fill up your lungs. Hold it for a second or so, and then release it really slowly. And now take the deepest breath you've taken all day. Really fill up your lungs. Hold it for a second. Imagine just everything you don't need, just going into that breath and ready to exhale right now. Really, really slowly. Just let it all out. Let's relax our bodies next, as we usually do. Imagine an energy field coming up from the center of the earth, just like pure peace, pure white light. And feel it entering into your feet, your lower legs, your knees, your upper legs. Just sit there for a moment. Imagine all the stress and tension, anything you don't need, just draining out your legs. Inviting you to be relaxed and peaceful. And now feel it move into your pelvis. Relaxing your pelvic floor, your glutes, your hips, your lower torso, and also relaxing all of your internal organs so they're not feeling any extra stress, but they've got enough energy to do what they need to do. And now feel that relaxation in your midsection, middle back, sides, tummy. And then as you feel it moving into your ribs, into your rib cage, and moving up one rib at a time, also notice your hands. Imagining each finger relaxing and your thumbs all the way through your hands into your wrists, your lower arms, elbows, upper arms. Just feel your legs and your arms and your body starting to become really heavy. Notice the peaceful energy moving up through your rib cage, all the way up to your shoulder blades and your collarbone. And then moving into your shoulder. So I invite you to allow your shoulders to sink down a little. You know, for me sometimes I feel like I'm peeling them off my ears because I'm stressed about one thing or another. So imagine no stress or tension as you allow your shoulders to relax. Your neck grows a little longer, and then feel that relaxation in your neck. Isn't it interesting when you think about how important our necks are and how small they are? So much runs through our necks as far as the air we breathe. All of the nerve sensations and messages from our brains go through our necks. So feel the relaxation just sink into your neck, the front and the sides, and all the muscles and around the vertebrae, and all the way into your spinal cord. And then feel it move up into your head, so your jaw, your lips, your teeth, your tongue, all the way through your face, your ears, all the muscles surrounding your head, all the way up to the top of your head. So you may or may not realize that your breathing by now has slowed down just a little. Your heart rate has slowed down just a little. So I started the idea of this meditation last week. Promised it for this week. So we are thinking about neutral. And if you, like me, have ever driven a stick shift or owned a stick shift car, you notice that on the column, on the indicator that shows where all the gears are, there isn't an N. because neutral is whenever you're not in a gear. So you push the clutch in, you pull it out of gear, and you are in neutral. And from that point, you can go to any gear. You can go to reverse, you can go from first to second, or fifth to fourth, or whatever you want to do. My dad used to go from first to third, and he went through a lot of clutches in his cars. I've never had to have one replaced because I'm a rule follower when it comes to driving a stick shift. But anyway, neutral is the place of power. And just like when you're driving a stick shift car, some shifts are easier than others. So you don't want to be rolling forward and shift into reverse, because that's hard on your car, hard on your transmission. And so we need to realize that sometimes we need to spend time in neutral. So let's just take that in for a moment, what the word neutral means to you. You see, you don't owe anybody any explanations for your opinions, for what you believe, what you don't believe. But what's interesting is we are told things like, if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything, and you have to have an opinion, or you're just milquetoast, or whatever all those ridiculous ideas are. And the deeper truth is that when we are in neutral, we are open to the possibilities. We are open to what's next. We are open to what may happen. So imagine a person really locked into, this is what I need, this is what I want, and this is how I'm going to get it. They've eliminated a whole lot of help with that stance. And I've actually recently met some people who had family members, and they are screwing up their life, and they won't listen to me. And unless it's our own lives, it's none of our business. And we can see someone going on a path and about to fall on their face, and we just put the energy, the love around them, that they land softly and with grace. It's not to say that we can't offer our opinion, but that comes in, I have an idea for you, would you like to hear it? I would imagine that you may not realize this as clearly as I do, but people who are very concerned about right and wrong, and people who have to be right all the time, are not that fun to be around. And if you find that's how you are, I invite you to just gently and lovingly take a look at that. Because while we get to decide for ourselves the course of our lives, we get to decide our own thoughts, words, and actions. We don't get to decide anyone else's. Unless it's a child that we are responsible for, or someone that has asked us to take responsibility for them, an elderly person, or someone who is unable, completely incapable of taking care of themselves. That's a whole different category, and that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about people are so convinced that their loved ones are going down the wrong path, and I need to straighten them out. And most of the time, when people are not in neutral with regard to someone else, it comes from a kind place. They really truly want what's best for someone else. And here's another little truth about that. Usually, people who are very controlling or who are very opinionated, who are very, rigid about right and wrong, usually they were expected to be responsible when they were young. They had to make decisions that were, not really appropriate for them to make. They had to take responsibility for things, beyond their pay grade. They were called upon to do things that shouldn't be asked of them. Children taking care of their parents, children being overly responsible for their siblings. There's a myriad of things. And I don't like to make note of specific mental illnesses, but people who have lived with a narcissist or an alcoholic, any kind of addiction, have probably been blamed a lot. And what happens when someone says it's our fault is we then think, I need to fix it. And so let's take a step back from all of that. Take a deep breath. And let go of all of that baggage, all of those things that someone said was our fault. People often blame us because they don't know how to take responsibility for themselves. Or they don't want to. There's myriad reasons, and we don't need to know why. What we're being called today is to let ourselves off the hook. And if you need to, tell yourself, it wasn't my fault. I'm not to blame. And we can't have a discussion, I can't have a discussion about neutrality without landing on powerlessness. Because when we clear our minds, we clear our should list. As a matter of fact, I invite you to throw the word should out the window and not use it anymore. But when we let go of all of that, we find ourselves in a neutral place where we can go in any direction. When we stop moving, when we stop pushing forward, we can stop and look around and see, is this the way I want to go? Or maybe I want to change course. Maybe I want to go this way for a moment. We can listen to our hearts, listen to our souls, rather than the loud voices of people around us who are trying to control us, either by telling us we are right or wrong, because sometimes right is just as poisonous as wrong. We can quiet all of those voices, the media, if you don't have this shade of hair or these kind of highlights or this pair of jeans or this pair of shoes, then you're just not, cool. But it goes much deeper than that. If you are not living according to these ideals someone else's, then, and it sometimes is as deep as, and then I won't love you. And yet we realize when we calm ourselves down to neutral that if their love depends upon something, then it's not true love at all. Because love is unconditional. True love is unconditional. Think about the people that you love. You will love them to the end of time. And so we have power over who we love and how we love. Power over our thoughts, words, and actions. And we are powerless over whether or not someone is able to love us. So let's chew on that a moment. I've had people in my life that I knew really wanted to love me, and they were incapable. And I just bless them, send them grace, and recognize that they are incapable of giving me what I need, and I'm powerless to change that. So I can change how much time I spend with them, if at all. I can change my thoughts, words, and actions so that they support me. So that the power I am attaching to is the infinite power. And I suggest that you ask your higher power regularly, what is mine to do? And what I mean by that is, I see the one presence as a flow through our lives. And when we ask what is mine to do, what we're asking is, how can I be most fully in the flow? How can I most fully express the infinite presence that I am? Because you are one with the infinite. You are whole and perfect exactly as you are. No questions asked. And so being neutral means to let go of all of the outside stuff so that you can be true to yourself. Listen to your higher power, your version of your higher power, not someone else's. And the guides just showed me that next week's meditation is going to be about how to define your higher power. And I'm not real keen on how to, but just kind of ideas, suggestions, ways to look at who and what your higher power is. A higher power of your understanding, which is the only one that matters in your human existence. How and what you perceive God to be. So I invite you to remember that all the stuff outside of you, you are powerless over, and you control the gear shift. You can put yourself in neutral, let yourself roll for a little bit or come to a complete stop, and then decide which way am I going from here. I invite you to take a deep breath and own the power you do have, which is the power to choose neutral. So I invite you to remember that you get to choose. You don't have to choose anybody else's idea of what you should believe, what you should do, any of that. This is your life. And choosing neutral is a way to kind of take a pause. So let's take a deep breath. And remember that the one presence moving in, through, and as you is your perfection. You are whole and perfect, exactly as you are. I invite you to make that your mantra. I am whole and perfect, exactly as I am. And the one presence moving in, through, and as me honors and recognizes the one presence moving in, through, and as you. Namaste. Have a wonderful week.